Hello, Bangkok. It's really great to be here, and thank you for joining our session titled Forging the Future of Play, How Sui and Society Are Shaping the Future of Web3 Gaming. So my name is Gary. I'm the platform manager at Hashed, mostly in charge of portfolio management and business partnership. So we're very excited to have a representation from Sui and Society to give us some insights around Web3 gaming. So why don't we start off with a brief introduction, starting off with James.
Sure. Thanks, Gary. Hi, everyone. I'm James. I'm a AAA gaming partnerships deal maker for Mysten Labs. I got started actually in the Hollywood system, mostly licensing various IPs to various different gaming companies, ultimately getting John Wick into Fortnite, which was a lot of fun. After that, went on to be a founding team member at Griffin Gaming Partners, was a principal there for 3 years, mostly investing in content. So really consider myself a content investor. After that, went to NCSoft for about 2 years, where I led Web3 and Western investment. And then since August of last year, have been helping build with Mysten Labs, mostly looking at, again, content, which is what personally I very much love to do.
Sang?
Hi everyone, I'm Sang. I'm head of business at Society. I've been involved in Web3 ever since 2019, where my previous company called PlayDApp was one of the first Korean projects to be listed on Coinbase and Binance. Before that, like similar to James, I used to lead overseas business development at NCSoft and also Coca. So helping not just the larger gaming companies from Korea, but the small to mid-sized companies out of the Korean gaming industry reach overseas publishers and partnerships. That's me in a nutshell.
Hi, I'm Ryan, head of community for Society. I've been in blockchain since about 2018. Again, I was also part of that project that Sang was, so PlayDApp helped grow that community from nothing to around 100,000 plus, helped to get on board onto Binance, Coinbase, other top 10 exchanges. Here with Society now, helping them grow out into a AAA gaming space. You can find me always on Discord, on X platform, running AMAs, running spaces, everything like this. And it's really good to be doing one in person for once, rather than digital and staring in my phone every day. So good to be here today.
Right, wonderful. So before we dig deep into the Web3 gaming, I just want to ask, James, about like what Sui Network, Mysten Labs is about and what it tries to solve and do in blockchain space.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to go into that. Sui is a first of its kind layer 1 blockchain that allows for it's designed from the bottom up to be more fast, private, secure, and accessible to everyone. Its object-centric language or object-centric model is written on the Move programming language, which is actually created by one of our co-founders, Sam Blackshear. It enables various different things like parallel execution, sub-second time to finality, rich on-chain objects, and it's also horizontally scalable in terms of processing and storage, meaning you can just throw more hardware servers at something and it'll fix a problem the same way it would with AWS. It supports a wide range of applications at very unrivaled speed. And allows for builders to create new and exciting things within the ecosystem, in a very user-friendly way. Mysten Labs is the first contributor to Sui. It's led by a team of very senior cryptographers, systems engineers, who came from leading blockchain projects prior to that. One of them being, of course, Evan Cheng, our CEO. Many of them came from Meta. And their mission is to onboard the next billion users into Web3. Sui is that vehicle.
I see. Very clear. So as far as I know, James, you're working as the AAA like gaming partnership and investment. And what kind of types of games are you typically looking for? And when you work together with gaming projects, how does the partnership and collaboration work?
So I'm a very selfish investor. I look for games that I want to play. But on a more serious note, we're looking for sort of boiling the ocean to a degree. We're looking for a wide range of things in terms of scope and region. What works in Korea doesn't always work in the US, doesn't always work in Brazil, doesn't always work in Thailand. So it requires something of a shotgun approach. You've seen this for years in the traditional gaming VC industry, where they place multiple bets across multiple regions, across multiple genres. We're doing a very similar thing right now, but with a little more focus on more mature products that are have a better chance of getting to market. For a while now, in both Web 2 and Web 3, it's been difficult in the content space, which breaks my heart, of trying to get things to market. So we have a very experienced team on games, and we're trying to push them into that realm.
See. So, yeah, I mean, now, like, I think it'd be good to learn a little bit about Society. So I had a chance to visit the booth outside, and I had a chance to try the game, and it looks very interesting. So, based on what I kind of know, Society is known to have a vast universe. So can you tell us more about the lore and the world building around Society, and like what the overall structure of the game is like?
So fundamentally, Society takes place after the Great Hibernation, which was a time period where humans went into hibernation due to energy crisis. Energy had become scarce with resource wars, and then a new energy source known as Motus was discovered. Motus was through human emotion and energy, and created, again, a continuation and a seeking of that. Eventually, the need for Motus outgrew the supply, so the best governments of the world put together a artificial entity known as NDUS, who helped to plan a way for humans to hibernate to get into a state to generate more Motus energy, so that when they came back from hibernation, there was a chance of everything coming back and having resources again. However, that's kind of the top side, the light side. There's a darker undercurrent. As players emerge, they emerge without their memories, radically changed bodies, and there's questions as to why this happens. So we have sort of the classical hidden lore, explicit lore, and everything like that. As you emerge out, you join a idea of systemic things. So we have Calum, the central hub where players exist. Calum is known as Calum064. And again, there's a lore reason behind why it's 064. It's one of the first ones to emerge. The first 99 players emerged. And again, there's lore reasons, hidden reasons as to why. And we've embedded that through the project. So we've had the first mint of our frontier avatars on the Ethereum chain. And they came out in piecemeal to help foster that lore and to keep that lore part of a coherent narrative. It's also why things are in Deathmatch have respawn rather than death. Again, you're sort of training your PvP to do better in PvE. So lore is deeply woven into not just the game, but the way we're approaching the project as a whole.
Sorry, if I could just add a little bit more to that. So basically, creating intellectual property is very important for us. We've been doing it ever since, we've been developing products for the last 20 years. And I think it's in that sense that one of our team members called Myung-Jin Lee, he is actually the original IP creator for the Ragnarok online series. So basically, having a strong IP, which Ryan described, surrounding all of the actual activities, the reason behind it, why some things are called some things, and basically that really enhances some of the engagement and some of the layer of engagement that people can actually cling on to.
Yeah, there's a lot more than just getting involved because you like the look and you like the style of the game. Obviously, it's a very strong factor. The art stands out for itself, but lore really helps build a sticky community, a sticky group of players, and by giving them that hidden lore, that wider lore, there's a lot more for them to engage with after they've run their time with PvP for the day or for the week, whatever they want to play through. So lore really does help build a strong community, and is powered by, as you say, good people like Myung-Jin Lee.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of successful games with a very strong fundamental story behind it were very successful, just like, the World of Warcraft or StarCraft or Diablo. So I like how, Society has built the kind of strong story first and then, build the game on top of it. So I'm very excited about it. And I heard that you recently did some kind of test runs and did a closed, holder test. So I want to know what the community's feedback has been like, and if there's any interesting metrics to highlight, what has been the result of it?
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun with our community. So basically, back in February, we did our second holder test where we invited all of our NFT holders and also members from the community who wanted to actually experience the game firsthand. So we had around 3,000, just over 3,000 people coming in for the 2 weeks duration of the test. Throughout the testing, we received tremendous feedback, a lot of positive feedback at the same time. One of the reasons that we actually do these tests is because we want to find the negative aspects also. So we had a lot of good feedback at the same time. We had a lot of groundwork and foundation that we could learn from in order to improve the actual gameplay in a general sense. Some of the metrics that came out, what typical game developers look at is retention rates. How long are the new users who are coming into the game staying with the game? So basically, one of the key metrics that we always look at is the day one retention rate, which is somebody coming into the game and staying with the game for 1 day. I mean, it's a very simple concept, but it basically multiplies into the revenue potential of the product. And day one retention rate for us was over 84%. Another important metric is day 7 retention rate. So it's the mid to long-term longevity and the stickiness of players actually staying with the game for a lengthy duration of time. And on average, day 7 retention rate for us during the 2 weeks of testing was 77.3%, which is obviously on the very high end side. I think one of the reasons that a lot of our community members actually stayed with us for that duration of time was they haven't seen many playable and enjoyable Web3 products as of yet. And what we are trying to show them is actual hands-on playability, the game that you could actually play with the teammates, cooperation, and also at the same time competition. So basically, actually having the first-hand experience of the game is I think what's really bringing our community together.
Yeah, so the game like Society, which is very large scale and a lot of users join at the same time, we assume that as more AAA games comes into the market, I assume that scalability issue may be a bottleneck to certain networks, given the current technological status. So I want to know how Sui is trying to address such potential scalability issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone has a story of what happens when things go wrong, but I would wager that everyone on the 7th floor of the Icon Siam believes that the best days are ahead for crypto. And we don't really exactly know what it looks like when things go perfect and in a best case scenario, hundreds of thousands, millions of players. Those days are coming soon. In terms of dev cycles, we're looking at 3.5, 4 years off. This got started in my opinion closer to early 2021 with Axie and NBA Top Shot. So we have to sort of consider the reality of these eventually really, really growing to significant, substantial numbers. I alluded to this already, but Mysten's solve for that with Sui is horizontal scalability, throwing more hardware at servers the same way you would with AWS. As we layer in new technologies on top of games for the better, we also have to remain mindful of hit games that have failed to address this at the start. Really good games, very creative games like viral games like Pal World or Helldivers 2 came out super hot out of the gate, drew in way more players than expected, but ultimately really struggled to keep the servers running in a way that would keep players coming back sooner or over time. Now those were all rectified, but those were without the added layer of Web3 and blockchain in them. So I think that something like scalability is an absolute strategic imperative, but I would also add on top of that things like time to finality and speed, so that every time if you have millions of players picking up various different digital assets within a game, they can do so in a very quick manner, rather than waiting at each different step to pick up a piece of gold or a sword or whatever. That's going to make for a very difficult player experience. So it's a combination of things, but at the root of it, we're very proud of our horizontally scalable capabilities.
Yes, yeah. Very glad to hear that the scalability issue is being addressed. And we don't foresee any big issues going forward. So Society is a Web3 gaming, and I would like to learn more about So like the tokenomics behind it, like why, the NDUS Interactive decided to embed like blockchain into it, and what's better compared to, not adopting the blockchain into your game? If any one of you could answer that question.
Well, online gaming, like World of Warcraft players, everybody's very familiar with the concept of digital goods trading. So everybody's trading and sharing their digital experience with other gamers around the globe. But what's typically very difficult is, for example, there are leading item trading platforms in every developed country, such as Korea, US, Japan, China, but it's almost impossible to trade across borders. What cryptocurrency and blockchain enables is a very instantaneous, efficient, and fast means of connecting anybody around the globe. Somebody from Brazil can trade with somebody in Spain in real time, and a very cheap in terms of the transaction fee. So I think these kind of infrastructure that can cover the whole audience wasn't available in Web 2. It was all much centralized, and it was very fragmented and localized between territories. So I think this is one of the big differences that Web3 can actually bring to the table. And that's one of the things that we are trying to emphasize on also in society, bringing towards and bringing together a global audience that could cohesively play with each other and at the same time share value with each other on a single vertical platform.
Mm-hmm. I see. And can you delve more into the tokenomics behind it, like how the NFT works, and if there's any fungible tokens to be issued, how that's like weaved into the game?
Oh yeah. So for Web3 and NFT for us is, I think, goes hand in hand with the actual content itself. If the content doesn't work, that's basically it's a domino effect. It breaks down the whole project. What we were always doing in traditional game companies such as NCSoft, Next, and Crafton, which were some of our previous companies, is build a competitive product that can actually compete with other games on the market, or even compete with YouTube and Netflix in order to get players' attention and their time. So I think that's a very important factor to begin with, and that is one of our emphasis points. So basically, we want to be the game that Web 2, Web 3, no divide, just gamers that want to play. It has to be an engrossing product. But the Web3 component comes in where we can support, for example, our tokenomics is we have PvE and PvP, and we have a global competition layer where I mentioned the item tradability aspects of it, but another layer of Web3 is that we have a global competition layer. So basically, gamers who are playing League of Legends or PUBG log onto games every single day, and what they essentially do is compete with other gamers. And what do they get for it? A virtual chicken dinner, probably. But what we can offer them is for all of those achievements, for the skill sets, and the whole engagement itself, we could offer them some forms of reward in terms of tokens for competition, winning competitions, doing well in PvE, helping other fellow members in the community. And I think that's the aspect that we want to latch on through Web3 elements. And that's basically generalizing a lot of our tokenomics in the society ecosystem.
Yeah, I think Sang raises a really cool point there too of thinking about games on the blockchain, not necessarily as Web3 gaming, but just gaming. But with the added addition of a new tool that allows for things like increased retention, better player emotional connection to the title that you're playing. This tool it's similar to something like a shovel, right? You could use it to dig a flower bed, or you could smack someone over the back of the head with it. It depends how you intend on using it. We intend on using it in a way to build flower beds with games that we partner with.
Okay. So, we heard, from NDUS Interactive team about why they're pursuing the Web3 and, what problems they try to solve by adopting the Web3 elements. And why does, Sui care about onboarding, users to Web3 gaming? And from, could be, from like technological perspective or any other perspectives, why do you think like Sui is more, well suited to can onboard Web3 users?
Yeah, absolutely. Why do we care? Well, at the very top of our organization are gamers, right? Our founders are gamers. Many of my colleagues are gamers, and hardcore ones at that. So, there is an air of, wanting to see this enter into the next phase of what it is possible to achieve. But really, right in our tagline, I think as soon as you click on our website, it says, onboarding the next billion gamers into Web3. The blockchain industry has struggled for a while, I think, with use case and finding a clear reason for someone to come in and use systems that they are unfamiliar with has been taxing on many of the people who are still staying in Web 2. We think that one of the best ways, the most fun ways, and one of the most accessible ways to do that is with games. IP has done really, really well to bring people into new industries, new technologies for a very long time. In terms of our advantages, for fear of alienating any of the wonderful people that I've met this week, I think that what our advantages are there's a couple here. The first one I would want to touch on is authenticity, because gamers are a very, very savvy cohort that will be able to sniff out if you're just doing this for a quick, pump and dump or cash out or what have you. So that is imperative, and being passionate about what you do and the products that you associate yourself with is really, really important, because the community will understand that very, very quickly. And in terms of I think it was our advantages, there's according to the Coinbase report, right, that came out earlier this year, it would be our speed. The latency is spectacular. It's best in class. Horizontal scalability allows for things that have not been done before. And I would also say we are also asking people to build on a somewhat newer language and move, right? So we have to offer things that allow people that enable our partners to be able to better, more efficiently build. Earlier I alluded to, games not being able to make it to market, but with the help of, our best-in-class, world-class solutions engineering team, I think that, applying extra manpower to be able to better onboard our partners has been, we've gotten really exceptional feedback on that. So help with the initial push into this tech, I think would be another advantage on top of the speed that I already talked about and passion.
I see. So like in the beginning, during this brief introduction, I remember everyone sharing their background from the Web2 gaming space, and just wanted to kind of hear about, as you work in Web3 gaming space, like what different approaches are you taking? Whether it be development or strategy or anything. Maybe we can hear from NDUS Interactive first, and then also like you can, James, you can also share about what you're seeing as well. So,
yeah, I think a lot of things are similar. A lot of things are like some of the core of developing a gaming product is all about the quality of the game itself. As James mentioned, gamers sniff out bullshit very quickly. If it's not up to quality, they won't stay with the game. And basically, that fundamental anchor needs to be in place to have all of the other functionalities or further development on the Web3 aspects. But one of the very different things which is very distinct with the Web3 audience or building in the Web3 industry is in traditional gaming, you don't share your game until it's finished. People don't really care about what you're trying to build in the progress. But in Web3, our community, we have around 300,000 community strong. They are interested in anything related to development, content, story, character, and it's not finished. It's still very rough around the edges, but they just have a fascination with anything that the developers are building and that can share. And I think that's very different between how we used to publish and operate and promote games in Web 2 and how we do stuff in Web 3. So I think the community in Web 3 is with us throughout the whole journey, not when the actual end game or the final product comes out, but throughout the journey from inception, actually opening the Discord servers. People like, I don't know why they like that, but they're fascinated with that. So I think it's about being transparent and sharing the whole journey. And I think that's one of the key things that, you need to take in mind in the Web3 industry.
Yeah, Sang has considerably more experience than me in on that side of things. So I'll stick to what I know, which is more of the pre-release type of idiosyncrasies here. What we've been seeing this year in terms of the VC market and fundraising and investment space has been a little bit discouraging on the Web2 side. And GDC was just last month, I believe, and there was a pretty distinct difference between people who are raising money for Web3 projects versus Web2 products. And the Web3 products were having a lot of fun. I think there's a lot more, or at the very least, different levers to pull in terms of getting your project funded and out the door and into the hands of your player base. Whether that's NFT sales, token launches, grant programs, ecosystem funds. Again, this is just a tool in an industry now that offers different things in parallel to typical conventional Web 2. So I guess the short answer would be different funding levers for games to be able to get to market.
So, okay, for Society, the holder test has finished, and for now, it's not providing, open service to the audience yet. So just wanted to, question what the roadmap looks like, because there may be from the audience that the people that wants to try and be involved. So if you can share anything about your roadmap and when and how, community will be able to get involved in the process.
Yeah. So I get the roadmap question quite a lot when doing spaces and sessions. And I've always tried to phrase it as ambitious but realistic. We have a public roadmap that goes out until 2026 that shows the steps that we're trying to achieve, the things we have achieved. And some people hear that and think, oh, that's really far away. But for us, it's about being transparent in what we're promising and being able to deliver that. So we've run holder tests twice already, and these are large-scale events. As we talked about, we had 3,000 users in the most recent one. Before that, we had a smaller group, but again, providing valuable feedback for us to help iterate and deliver the roadmap that they're aware of. When it comes to getting access right now, we run regular sessions weekly with our community, spreading the time to allow people in different areas to get involved. So if you're in the Society Discord or if you're up on the X, Twitter, you'll be able to get involved and be able to get invited to these sessions. We also run every 2 to 3 months, depending on how large-scale development change has gone, our wider play sessions, and that's a chance for holders, friends of holders, invited people, great partners to get and play with us. But generally, the roadmap goes towards early access towards the end of this year. That's where we see the wide public early access with a lot of content being delivered, and getting there is realistic but achievable. It really depends upon making sure that we're not sitting here telling you to just wait while we build quietly. We're going to expressly say, this is what we're going to deliver. This is your next chance to get involved with it. We have interesting usage of other projects like NFTs, like we're calling them in-game corporations, which allow for a different model of owning and being involved in the project, helping you to have a share of how a tournament system might work, for example, or a in-game shop system might work. And these are, again, roadmapped and promised with a chance for you to get involved and help shape and inform the decisions that we make collectively. So ambitious, but deliverable is kind of how I always try and phrase that roadmap.
Yeah, I'm also very excited about, the Society and the launch that's scheduled this year. Very excited. And given that, Web3 gaming in general is very global, the Society is a global game, and also Sui, onboards all different projects across the globe. And just wanted to hear from you if you have seen any differences in different regions, whether it be user patterns or any kind of interesting findings that you've seen, perhaps for Society, any, based on the holder test, different regions could have shown different results. And, as from Sui, you may have seen different characteristics of different projects coming out of different regions. So just want to hear some insights around that. Maybe James can start.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things stand out, I think, to me. One would be art style, I think, is one that really flies under the radar in terms of what is attractive to various people in various different regions, which is a tremendously difficult thing to convince an IC of, investment committee, that, of something subjective like art. But it's true. Various different art styles play in various different markets, and understanding how those flow is a very imperfect science, and one that I think we're still trying to figure out. But you know it when you see it. The other one, I think, would be a combination of UX and monetization. Different markets are really happy to pay for things, and other markets are quite a bit more frugal. So understanding how you progress a player through an experience to the point where they can experience everything within the game, and also, hopefully, getting some money out of it. That's also that one's a literal science that we have. I've worked with some very talented people on that side of things. But again, understanding those regions and what's going to play in various different markets, that's something a game can kind of live or die by. And I think it also is very important for the genre as well. It'll play really well in mobile, but I think everyone knows what happened with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 debacle, which was 2017 or something like that, where Darth Vader required 1,000 hours to unlock or something, or $500. So it can go really wrong, but also if you understand it, you can really take advantage of that and put out a really great product that people are going to love in that market.
Definitely. Ryan or Sang, if one of you could share your insight.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky that our community and our player base has been fairly spread, fairly global. And while there is different appetite for different aspects of what they're playing and experiencing, by the very nature of how we've put ourselves out, we've been very upfront about being game first, experience first, play first. You're rewarded for what you do. We have a slogan, no free lunch, only getting out what you put in. I get made fun of in the community for saying that all the time. So there's a lot of appetite, but we have a core of gamers. But it doesn't stop certain metas from developing. Even in play sessions, a lot of people went straight for that classical deathmatch, where there was a few players that became famous or infamous for being incredibly difficult to kill in that first play session. We're lucky that they've also adopted quite strongly into our PvE mechanics, our player versus environment sort of mission convoy raid. So there's a lot of appetite, but by being game first, we're seeing that appetite all enjoying what we're offering up on the sort of buffet of gameplay for experience.
I see. Thank you for the insight. I heard that Sui and Society has an interesting announcement to share with the public. I would like to know what it is about.
Thanks for that, Gary. Yeah, we're super excited and proud to be welcoming Sang and Ryan and Jeffrey and the crowd down there, and the whole NDUS family to the Sui team, or Sui family. They'll be bringing Society, their first game, exclusively to the Sui blockchain at the end of this year. So really, really excited to have them on board. We can't wait to build with them. It's many of the things that I alluded to today. Art, I believe they have global art, tokenomics, which Sang had been talking about the second I looked at it. It made a lot of conceptual sense to me, which is actually rarer than you would imagine. And at the same time, what they're trying to do with NFTs and particularly on chain, we think is uniquely achievable on Sui. So as of, a few weeks ago, we're incredibly excited to announce this here today, with our friends at Hashed and Shard Lab, that we're going to be, working with Society.
Yeah, I think the alpha's slowly leaked out. I mean, if you come to a booth, we've already got that. But yeah, I mean, our community will be very excited about this official announcement. We've been recommended Sui by a lot of our community members, a lot of our old-time community members, because of many aspects that James elaborated today. At the same time, when we met the Sui team, the Mysten Labs team, from Evan to James, the whole marketing team, everybody had a very deep understanding and insights into what games about. They all come, majority of the team comes from gaming industry background. So basically, I think that was one of the important decision factor that we actually made the final decision to partner with Sui on. Because you need to understand games in order to properly service and support gaming businesses.
Super excited to hear about the partnership between Sui and Society. Society has a booth outside, so for the ones who are curious, please drop by to say hi and play the game. And due to the time constraint, I think we can stop here. Thank you very much, panelists, for sharing all the insights. And everyone, please give them a warm round of applause.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.